The sound of the gavel echoed sharply, slicing through the air like a verdict. Vivian barely blinked. The final lot was sold. The house she grew up in no longer belonged to her family. The room was nearly empty, yet his presence was impossible to ignore. Graham Sinclair, the name that haunted the paperwork, the bills, the nightmares. The tycoon who, from a distance, had quietly swallowed her father's empire. Vivian stood tall, hiding the tight knot in her chest. She knew her mother, Margaret, couldn't bear to see him. That's why she had taken on everything: the auction, the lawyers, the humiliation. But she hadn't expected him to be there, in person. "Come on, Vivian. Everyone's going already," murmured her mother's voice, soft and restrained. Vivian turned, adjusting her coat around her shoulders. "Are you sure you want to watch this up close, Mom? Maybe it's better to wait for the results by phone." "I need to," Margaret whispered. "I need to see it with my own eyes." It was all we had left. Vivian helped her inside. The house, now divided into numbered sections, was being picked over by curious stares. Few were there out of genuine interest. Most had come just to peek behind the curtain of someone else's downfall. During the auction, Vivian's face remained unreadable, but inside, each bid felt like a knife. The furniture, the paintings, the books, everything vanished into numbers and quick nods, until the final lot was sold. The house, bought by a single bidder. She didn't have to ask who. He was there. Graham was speaking with an older man, relaxed posture, but eyes sharp. When their eyes met, Vivian felt a chill run down her spine. He looked at her with an expression that wasn't quite arrogance. It was control. That man never apologized. He simply took what he wanted. She took a deep breath. She couldn't let her mother see him. Turning down the hallway, she made sure Margaret was already outside. Then she spun on her heel and marched toward him. "Mr. Sinclair." Graham turned slowly. "Yes. You might not know who I am. Vivian Mercer, daughter of Douglas Mercer. I know exactly who you are." She swallowed hard. "Then you know what you're doing." He smiled, the kind of smile that said he'd heard that accusation before. "I attended an auction, that's all. There were valuable items. I bid through my attorney. As if you need more properties." Her eyes burned into his. "Why this one? Why our home?" "For investment purposes," he replied with absolute indifference. "Or were you expecting someone to feel sorry for you?" Vivian felt her blood boil. "That house belonged to my mother. It was all we had left. You destroyed what my father built." "What your father destroyed," he said, his voice like steel. "I merely purchased. Don't confuse cause with consequence." "I hate you," she muttered, trembling. "And I hope I never see you again." Graham studied her, then replied with a cutting calm. "Be careful what you wish for, Miss Mercer, because sometimes paths cross again." Vivian walked off in a hurry. The night was thick and humid, as if summer refused to let go. In the car, Margaret waited with tired eyes. "You took a while, sweetheart. Did something happen?" Vivian paused for just a second. "Nothing that isn't already settled. How about a coffee before we head home?" Margaret nodded, relieved. Vivian said nothing more, because deep down she knew nothing was truly settled. The next morning dawned warm and heavy, promising both sunshine and storms. That's February in the Low Country. Thick heat, humidity clinging to your skin, and the sense that the weather could flip in an instant. Vivian got up early. She'd slept poorly, but kept to her routine. She turned on the shower, tied her hair in a loose bun, and picked a light, strapless emerald green dress. Heels and a simple necklace completed the look. She glanced in the mirror with a tired half-smile. She didn't consider herself vain, but she recognized her classic beauty. Moss-colored eyes with hints of gold, a firm chin from her mother, and soft blonde hair framing her features. She looked strong, even if she was falling apart inside. In the kitchen, Margaret was already waiting with a cup of coffee in hand. "Did you sleep well, my dear?" Vivian kissed her forehead and replied lightly, like a rock. "And you?" Margaret smiled, but they both knew it was a lie. The papers don't have anything new, she said. Just inflation strikes and more campaign promises. So, the world's still the same, Vivian replied, biting into a piece of toast. They exchanged a few more light words, as if silence might bring memories too close. Then Margaret dropped a small bomb. I got a job offer yesterday. Sandra Lucas needs a salesperson for her boutique. She offered me the position. I start tomorrow morning. Vivian turned, surprised. Mom, that's wonderful. I needed this. I need to feel useful. I can't bear the idea of sitting around, remembering. Her voice faded. Vivian took her hand firmly. You're going to shine, just like you always did. And tomorrow, take the car. I'll catch a ride with Matthew. She knew that wasn't ideal. Matthew Loring, her college friend, was a little too kind, a little too present, and always around. But right now, there weren't many options. At exactly 8, Matthew arrived. Vivian came down the stairs with her bag on her shoulder, hair up again and a quiet smile. Ready for a deep dive into pedagogy? He teased. More than ever. The seminar was held downtown Charleston, and traffic was no help. During the drive, Matthew tried to make conversation, but Vivian preferred silence. She still didn't know how to explain what she felt, or how to hide what she didn't want to remember. The event was a success. Vivian asked sharp questions, took notes, engaged with the speaker from Boston. By 5 o'clock, her mind was worn out. How about a swim and something cold before you head home? Matthew suggested with a grin. Vivian hesitated. I've got a meeting with the parents at 7:30. There's time. Promise. My uncle lives nearby, right by the beach. He invited us for a casual dinner. Nothing fancy. You like it? She still hesitated, but the thought of a cool break before a long evening won her over. The house was stunning. Modern, open, wrapped in glass and palm trees. There was a patio with pale blue tiles and a pool surrounded by tropical plants. Matthew's aunt greeted them warmly. Make yourself at home, dear. My daughter has dozens of swimsuits. Take whichever you like from the guest room. Vivian thanked her and went to change. She picked the most modest one she could find, covering it with a white cover-up. When she returned to the patio, Matthew let out a low whistle. Wow, dinner just got a whole lot better. Vivian smiled awkwardly and dove in without a word. The water was warm, comforting. She swam a few laps, easing the tension, until she felt a hand tug at her foot. She dipped under for a second and surfaced, gasping. Matthew grinned like a mischievous kid. She shot him a look and climbed out before he could try again. Running for me? He teased. Vivian ignored him. She dried off quickly, wrung out her hair, and slipped the cover-up back on. She was just about to head inside when she felt a stare burning into her. She turned slowly, and there he was, Graham Sinclair. A week later, Vivian arrived at the apartment tense, while Margaret rested on the living room couch. This heat is suffocating, she said, opening every window to let the air in. I bet there's a storm coming. She headed straight to the kitchen and opened the back door. It's way too hot to cook. How about a tuna salad and some fruit? She grabbed a juice bottle from the fridge, filled a glass, and returned to her mother's side. Have you been taking your meds like the doctor said? She tried to keep things light, but couldn't ignore Margaret's anxious expression. What is it, Mom? Did something happen? Without a word, Margaret handed her a letter. As Vivian read it, the color drained from her face. Exactly 8 days after the auction, the lawyers informed them that the money raised hadn't been enough to cover all the debts, and they wanted to know how to proceed. The amount was absurd. Even if they sold the car and worked nonstop for 5 years, they wouldn't be able to pay it off. Vivian did the math in her head. She went pale. Are they going to sue us? Margaret asked, worried. Well, you can't get blood from a stone, Vivian replied, forcing a smile. We've sold everything we could. Now we live in a small place, and we're working. I'll call Mr. Shearer and schedule a meeting. We'll find a way out. That same afternoon, Vivian went to the elegant law office. They were direct. The debt had to be paid. She took the opportunity to ask, as casually as she could, if Graham Sinclair was one of their clients. The affirmative answer didn't surprise her. Vivian kept her composure, thanked them, and left. At reception, she flipped to the phone directory and found the address for Sinclair Land and Holdings on the coast. She called her mother to say she wouldn't be home for dinner. She got in the car and drove to Palmetto Shores, one of the most luxurious enclaves in South Carolina. Finding the building was easy. Parking, not so much. By the time she stepped into the elevator and rode to the second floor, it was already past 5. "I'd like to speak with Mr. Sinclair," she told the receptionist. "He's not in at the moment. Will he be back today?" "Maybe." Vivian bit her lip. She needed to speak with him. "Now, this is really important. Could you give me his home number?" The woman gave a polite smile. "I'm afraid I can't do that. But I could try reaching him through his car, radio. We only use it in emergencies." "This is an emergency. Please, I won't have another chance to come tomorrow." A few minutes later, the receptionist returned with an answer. "Mr. Sinclair will be here in 20 minutes. "Thank you." Vivian sat down, trying to maintain her composure. When he finally arrived, the air seemed to tighten around her. Graham Sinclair, tall, commanding, his tie loosened, jacket draped over one shoulder. His eyes scanned her slowly, as if he already knew exactly why she was there. "You can go, Karen," he said to the receptionist. "Leave the line open and lock the door behind you." Then he turned to her. "Yes." "We need to talk," Vivian said. "But maybe this isn't the best place." "Oh, so it's serious," he replied with a crooked smile. He gestured for her to follow. "This way, please." She walked in with firm steps, but inside, she felt like prey entering a trap. "You can sit." "I'd rather stand." Graham shrugged, settling behind his massive desk. He looked at her again, a quiet, measured insolence in his gaze. "All right, Miss Mercer. What's so urgent?" "My mother received a letter yesterday. The lawyers mentioned a gap between the loan my father took and what was recovered at the auction. From what I understand, that gap is tied to you, and you're here on her behalf? My mother is far too fragile to deal with a man like you." He stood slowly. Even from across the room, Vivian felt the weight of his presence. His eyes were cold, but there was something dangerous about the way he carried himself. "I didn't know we were at war." "You should. What you're doing to us isn't fair." "Fair? Your father took risks. I was just a lender. And now you want every last cent, even knowing we can't pay?" "Any lender would." "We can make monthly payments," Vivian insisted. $400 or $500 a month. "Admirable, but irrelevant. How long do you think that'll take to cover the debt? What do you want from us?" Graham let the silence linger before answering. "I have a proposal. I'll let your mother live in the old house, rent-free, for the rest of her life." Vivian narrowed her eyes. "In exchange for what?" He looked her in the eye. "For you." She turned away, stunned. "You've lost your mind. I'm not lacking for women, but none of them have what my daughter needs." "And what exactly does your daughter need?" "A mother figure. Someone who cares, who loves her. So you want me to marry me?" Vivian stared at him in disbelief. "You're joking." "No, I've done my research. I know you're good with children." "You investigated me? And you haven't tried to learn about me?" She swallowed hard. "My father died because of you." Her voice was steady, but her eyes glistened. Graham met her gaze without flinching. "Your father died because of his own decisions. I was just the tycoon who struck the final blow." "The coup de grace," she muttered bitterly. Graham took a step toward her. "I'm offering you security. For your mother. For you. And you want my body in return?" He didn't answer. He simply stepped closer. And then the tension shattered. He kissed her, not gently, but with the intensity of days held back. She tried to resist. But his touch, his scent, his presence, it was too much. When he let go, she could barely stand. "That was more than a kiss," she said, her voice trembling. "It was a warning," he replied. "I should hate you. You already do. And yet you're here." She took a deep breath. All right, if this saves my mother, I accept your proposal. One condition, I don't do regrets. Then be clear, is this a real marriage? Yes, and you'll sleep in my bed. I'm not attracted to you. You will be. Vivian looked away, her body still shaking. Do you want me to meet your daughter today? The sooner, the better. She needs to get used to you. And if she doesn't like me, she will. If you want her to. Vivian sighed, crushed inside. Then let's go. Graham Sinclair's car was a stunning white Porsche, so sleek it looked like it could drive itself. Call your mother, he said, handing her the phone. You can dial directly. Vivian obeyed, but she was tense. She didn't like the idea of him listening in on her conversation. She kept it brief, just said she'd be having dinner out. No details. Now it's your turn, she said, handing the phone back. I don't need to call anyone, he replied casually. Of course. I imagine someone always has dinner waiting, she shot back, sarcastically. Don't worry, Vivian. The house is well run. Naturally. I doubt anyone dares step out of line with you around. He ignored the comment. We'll be there in 10 minutes. Remember our deal. Around my daughter, behave. One wrong word, and you'll answer me. I'm shaking, she muttered with sarcasm. I'm just warning you. Don't start a game you don't know how to finish. It can be dangerous. He glanced away from the road to meet her eyes. The tension between them grew with every mile. You remind me of a Western villain, just missing the revolver on your hip. And you're trying to be funny, and I deserve an award. Better my humor than your bad mood. Don't push it. I even let you choose, he said with a sly chuckle. You've got the power, Graham, but that doesn't give you the right to insult me. I'm here against my will. Ah, you call me Graham. Perfect. That way Clara won't think it's strange. She will. Anyone would hear the poison in the way I say your name. Then practice until it sounds convincing. That's never going to happen, she replied coldly. The car pulled through automatic gates, revealing a magnificent state. The mansion beyond was Mediterranean style, with wrought iron balconies and manicured gardens. Vivian's stomach turned. You're taking quite a risk, she said. What if Clara hates me? Graham stepped out of the car. She already knows about you. What do you mean? We've never met. At the Lowerings' birthday party, a few weeks ago. She's talked about you ever since. Vivian froze. Yes, she'd been at that party. But she had no idea she'd been noticed, let alone remembered. Please, he said, motioning to the entrance. This is your home. The urge to run was immediate, but he grabbed her arm firmly. Don't think I'll run, Mr. Sinclair. He didn't apologize. He didn't even seem to know how. The door opened on its own, maybe through a smart system or someone waiting on his arrival. A uniformed man appeared. Vivian imagined who else lived there. A cook, a maid, and the mother-in-law. Oh, the mother-in-law. She pictured a cold, rigid, controlling woman. And then a child's voice echoed. Daddy. She really came. A little girl ran through the hallway and leapt into Graham's arms. He picked her up, smiling, kissed her cheek, and set her down again. Vivian watched, surprised. Clara was adorable. 7 or 8 years old, bright brown eyes, long, tidy hair. Clara, this is Miss Mercer. I'm so glad you came, the girl said, genuinely sweet and polite. Vivian caught a warning glance from Graham. She quickly turned to Clara and smiled. I've been looking forward to having dinner with you, Clara. The girl's eyes lit up. Does Grandma know? Calvin must have told her, Sinclair said. And how was school? Sister Monique praised my test. I did today's and tomorrow's homework already. Excellent. Then, tonight, you can help me host our guest, right? For sure. Vivian watched as this cruel man became warm, paternal, almost human. How was your day, Daddy? Exhausting as usual, but manageable. Vivian thought of the night's event, a forced marriage. A chill ran down her spine. Go call your grandma. Clara, we're late, Graham said. He led Vivian to the living room. She barely had time to take in the elegant decor, the furniture, the paintings. before being caught off guard. Helen Sinclair was nothing like she'd imagined. Beautiful, gracious, elegant. Within minutes and a well-served glass of cognac, Vivian relaxed. For the first time, she felt there might be normal people in that house. Dinner, served by Beatrice, flowed naturally. Vivian wondered how many women had dined there before her, but pushed the thought aside. Clara deserved her full attention. The girl was smart, articulate, and sweet. Impossible not to like her. And Graham Sinclair, as a father, was impeccable. A man with two faces, Vivian thought. The same one who had kissed her forcefully, and now treated his daughter with genuine tenderness. After dessert, Clara went off to bed. "You'll come back soon, right?" the girl asked before leaving. "I'd love to," Vivian answered, moved. "I liked her, Daddy," the girl declared. "I noticed, sweetheart," he replied tenderly. Once they were alone, Vivian spoke quickly. "I need to go. I have work tomorrow." "I'll take you." "No need. Call a taxi." "I won't allow that." "I insist." "But my car is still—" "It'll be at your house tomorrow morning. I promise. By 8. Don't worry about the details." Vivian huffed. "Must be nice having an army at your disposal." He ignored it. "Shall we?" "Can't wait to be rid of you." The dragon spirit returns, and so does your inner devil. In the car, silence reigned. Vivian stared at the sky. No sign of the moon. "Clara liked you." "She's lovely." "Surprised she came for me?" Vivian swallowed hard. The question was too personal, delivered with cold intensity. "Shocked." "Not as much as you'd think." Images of Graham Sinclair, intense, powerful, undeniably masculine, invaded her thoughts like a rogue wave. She was lost in the memory when the car suddenly braked. "What happened?" "Time we talked," he said. "Already discussing divorce?" "We're not even married yet. But I want to know if there's a way out. Think of the benefits. Have you considered them?" "What benefits? Being a prisoner in your mansion?" "You have no idea who I am. You're an arrogant man who sees a wife as a luxury accessory, and useful in other ways." She blushed. "Men, women, wine, and work. That's your motto. What's your theory about my emergencies?" "Work comes first. Women last. And you want to go home. Sleep early." "Yes. You've delayed me long enough. Your students are lucky." She thought about slapping him, but the fear of backlash held her back. "You're insufferable, and I'm devastated by that. You know what? I'm walking home." This time, she saw it. He was furious. "Enough. I won't tolerate another childish outburst." And then he snapped. She slapped him. He grabbed her arms and kissed her, brutally, passionately. She struggled. He didn't let go, and slowly she gave in. The kisses grew softer, the hands bolder, the desire messy. When he finally released her, she could barely breathe. She didn't say a word for the rest of the ride. She got out, reached for her keys, couldn't find them. He pulled them from her purse, opened the door, and handed them over. She walked in and slammed the door behind her. During class, Vivian could barely concentrate. She asked a student to repeat a question, and the girl replied, "Are you okay, Miss Mercer?" Vivian took a deep breath, gathered her thoughts, and answered, "Just a headache, Susie. Now let's read." The rest of the day dragged on like it would never end. When the final bell rang, it was a mix of relief and unexplained exhaustion. She packed up her materials, closed her bag, and headed to the bus stop. The late afternoon heat felt like it was melting the pavement. Then she saw it. Graham Sinclair's white Porsche, pulled up so close it nearly brushed her. "Need a ride?" "I'm heading home," she said, tense. "The bus should be here any minute." He lowered the window calmly. "Let's talk about our marriage." She hesitated. She sighed, drained. He locked eyes with her, those cold, mesmerizing eyes. He was a man used to getting what he wanted. Just another big shot selling sand by the seashore, she thought. Vivian took a breath, got in the car, and said nothing. She knew she couldn't run. Not this time. Graham pulled away. navigating the Ravenel Bridge traffic before heading down the coastal road toward the Palmetto District. "I need to stop by the office real quick," he said. 5 minutes. When he returned, he carried a small box on his lap. "Your ring. Put it on." She hesitated. He smirked arrogantly and slid it onto her finger himself. The platinum-set diamond sparkled, like a symbol of everything tying them together. They reached his apartment in minutes. It was modern, luxurious, impeccable inside. Vivian said nothing, but was quietly impressed. "A drink?" he offered, handing her a chill glass. "What is it?" "Orange juice with champagne." "Be careful, it's deceiving. Hits fast." She took a small sip. The alcohol brought a strange mix of lightness, courage, and confusion. He continued, "The church is reserved for Friday. 5 o'clock sharp. Then, a small dinner at my house." She widened her eyes, stunned by how fast everything was moving. He assured her everything would be taken care of. The school notified, the principal understanding. Later, they went to a boutique where she met the manager, Diane. He introduced Vivian as his fiancée. Compliments followed, and together with Diane, she picked out a wedding dress, guided by his opinions and refined taste. Time flew between the delicate cuts and elegant fabrics. Back at the apartment, she asked for another drink before calling her mother. "I'd rather tell her everything tonight," she said. She stood by the window, watching the ocean shimmer in golden twilight. Without realizing, she felt herself drawn again to the masculine charm that had been breaking her defenses for days. He suggested, "I'll call your mother tonight. I'll explain everything tomorrow." "All of this in just 2 days," she murmured, still stunned. Their conversation flowed. He spoke of Clara's mother, how she died during childbirth, the trauma he endured, and the emotional responsibility he carried ever since. He shared his background of Spanish and Mediterranean descent, and how he had made his way to America, a man shaped by life. "A force of nature," she joked, half sarcastically. She took another sip, not entirely convinced, but open. She even tried the gourmet dishes served in a private dinner. Champagne flowed, and the tension between them shifted constantly, from hostility to pulsing desire. Later, she followed him through the private wing of the apartment. The space had 3 suites, a library, and an elegant dining room. Vivian took it all in. Then, in one sharp moment, their eyes met and hearts raced. "Do I seem like a strange animal to you?" he teased, stepping closer. Vivian felt torn, attracted, scared, exposed. His touch gave her chills. He kissed her, first on the lips, then her cheek, her neck. He pushed the moment to its emotional edge, testing her resolve until it shattered. She resisted. Then slowly she gave in. "Let me go," she pleaded. He stopped, looked at her shaking body, then stepped back. She sank to the floor, tears, confusion, humiliation. "Take me home," she whispered, her voice so fragile it surprised even her. "In less than 48 hours, we'll be husband and wife," he said. "You can stay here if you want." "No," she choked out. "Please." "I know you want me," he said coldly, "but that doesn't leave me unaffected." She looked at him, devastated. One single tear escaped. "For God's sake." He gave her one last chance. "Decide, my dear. I won't accept regrets after this." She stayed silent all the way to the building entrance. When they arrived, she tried to get out. He was too close. "Could you open the door, please?" "In such a hurry? What more do you want?" She struggled to breathe. She was trembling. He whispered, "My car will be outside your building tomorrow. The ring will be delivered Friday. My mother will attend the ceremony. Calvin will escort you to the church door." She replied with irony, "Maybe I won't be there." He met her eyes. "I'd advise against that, for Clara's sake." "Then I'll be there." He leaned in. Before she could look away, he kissed her hard. "Kissing isn't so hard, is it?" he said, mocking. "You already had one tonight." "You monster," she shouted. "I hate you." He smiled, amused. "Hate? What you're feeling is everything but hate." With a sharp motion, he unlocked the door. "Go, before I do something inappropriate." She stepped out, calm but burning inside. She didn't look back. He stood at the door, watching her disappear into the night. And then he left. On the day of the wedding, the only moment that truly touched me was Clara's smile. That pure gaze, from a child who still sees the world like a fairy tale, turned the ceremony into something irreversible. She wore a miniature version of my dress, delicate, perfect, and beamed with joy. Standing beside her father, they looked like a picture, harmonious, full of hope. When I said my vows, my voice faltered. Graham Sinclair slipped the ring onto my finger, and I felt the weight of destiny press against my skin. From that moment on, I was officially Vivian Sinclair, and my body would be his. He looked at me like he expected complete surrender, yet his eyes remained cold, impassive. To my surprise, my mother, Margaret, seemed content. We had expected her to reject this man, but the desire to reclaim our old home seemed to outweigh the bitterness she still carried. The reception was simple, yet elegant. About 20 guests gathered in Graham Sinclair's mansion, surrounded by refined dishes and a polished table. I sat among the guests, smiling mechanically, responding with rehearsed pleasantries. I felt like a puppet at my own wedding. "You've barely eaten," Graham noted, clinking his glass against mine. "I'm not hungry," I lied, avoiding his gaze. He leaned closer, his voice low and firm. "I want to feel you alive in my arms, not pale and fading. Come now, darling. If you fall, I'll carry you." "I promise I won't faint," I replied with forced smile, sipping my champagne. He said, coolly, "Another glass of that delicate fuel, and your sense of duty might vanish." "Are you implying I've had too much?" "Doesn't matter. We're leaving soon." "Where to?" I asked like a lost child. "To spend the weekend at my apartment. Beatrice will help you change. And if you want, your mother can join us." "Do I need my mother's instructions now?" I snapped sarcastically. His tone turned suggestive. "If you prefer a more hands-on explanation, I can provide one." I grabbed another glass and downed it, then walked to Beatrice, who led me to the guest bedroom. Waiting there was a custom-made moss green dress, tailored just for me. Clara appeared, her enthusiasm lighting up the room. "I love that dress," she said. "It matches your eyes." A brief, tender moment. I let her hold the dress while I slipped into it. Looking in the mirror, I felt a wave of emotion. I looked beautiful, but inside, I felt like a fraud. I cried, quietly. Then she asked, "Can I call you Mommy?" "That would be wonderful," I replied, moved. I'd regret it later. When we stepped out, Graham was carrying Clara in his arms, smiling at everyone. "She says you need to make your grand entrance alone, huh?" he teased. I laughed, but my heart twisted hearing Clara's sweet giggle. In the car, I couldn't hold back any longer. "You're unbearable. A brute." "Maybe I'm other things, too," Sinclair said, sly. "I hate you." I shouted, tears in my eyes. He leaned in and kissed me. Firm, cold, calculated. "Hate," he murmured. "What you feel is anything but hate." He kissed me again, and I crumbled. The rest of the ride was silence. When we reached the building, I tried to get out, but the door felt like it weighed a ton. He opened it, grabbed me, and carried me inside, once again in his arms, like a fragile doll. Inside the apartment, the atmosphere shifted. He accused me of not realizing I was now his possession. His gaze was cruel. I resisted. "You really thought you were a virgin until last week?" he sneered. I had no strength to answer. I tried to run. He grabbed me. "Careful, girl. I've been gentle so far." Then he pulled me to him with sudden force. A kiss, deep, confusing. I screamed. "Stop. I said I don't want this." He smiled darkly. Looks like you do." I spiraled into a storm of shame and desire. I gave in, even knowing this would leave a permanent scar. It was raw, reckless. I cried, moaned, screamed his name, and lost myself. My body surrendered before my mind could catch up. When I came to, I had fallen asleep, not by choice, but out of sheer exhaustion. I woke to find him watching me from the headboard, a cynical smile on his lips. "Sleep well. Is it Breakfast time already? I murmured, voice hoarse, eyes foggy. He chuckled quietly. I thought you weren't hungry anymore. I looked for my clothes, but all I found was a soft shirt, his covering my trembling body. Can I take a shower? I asked in a whisper. I dressed as fast as I could and headed for the living room. The thought of running out that door consumed me. I rushed to the elevator. As I reached the door, I heard the lock click. He had opened it. You're running because you don't know what you want, he said, cold, then closed the door behind me. I stood in the hallway, frozen, not sure if I should go down or go back. Later, I saw him leaving the mansion, alone. Vivian Mercer felt like a wounded animal. All she wanted was to vanish, disappear from the map, hide where no one could reach her. But she knew running would be pointless. Graham Sinclair didn't back down. He was the kind of man who made the world revolve around him, and she was trapped in that world. Furious, she pounded the pillow. You bastard, arrogant pig. The door creaked open slowly. Planning to play the victim all day? She spun around. It was him. Graham entered the room with that same dangerous calm. His presence made her skin tingle. Her body responded to him before her mind even had a chance to resist. She hated that. I wish you were dead, she said firmly. With a little more effort, maybe your wish will come true, he replied with a faint, ironic smile. She let out a sound, somewhere between anger and frustration. If I were a porcupine, I'd leave marks on you for life. Graham turned, lifting his shirt, revealing a trail of scratches down his back. These are yours. They may not last forever, but they speak volumes. Vivian felt her face burn. The memory of the night before was vivid and unsettling. Horrible, she snapped, masking disgust. Most women would give anything to lose control like that. It was just a physical reaction, nothing more. Even when two bodies connect that perfectly? She shivered. He wasn't wrong. The connection between them was undeniable. Do you always start your mornings with philosophy? She shot back sarcastically. Graham didn't answer. He finished dressing and walked to the door. Breakfast is ready on the terrace, he said flatly. Vivian took her time in the shower. She dressed slowly, a light skirt and a soft blue top. When she returned to the living room, Graham was already waiting on the terrace. The table was elegantly set. Orange juice? He asked, pointing to Beatrice's tray. Coffee, she replied, distant. They sat. He kept his tone calm. Toast? Eggs. I'm not hungry. You should eat. Why? Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You sound like my mother, and I'm not interested. What are you interested in, Vivian? In getting out of here. In avoiding me? Exactly. Graham let out a quiet chuckle. Am I that intolerable? She didn't answer right away. You act like a stranger, like someone completely different from the loving father Clara knows. With her, it's different. I love her. And me, you don't, she said, testing him. Silence. The thought that he might love her was too much to process. Vivian loves me, he said, deflecting. Of course, that's why you're here, she replied. He finished his coffee and stood. Let's go out. I need to clean up, do the dishes, let them handle it. Who? The maid. Right. I'll grab my purse. The day was tense, full of heavy silences. Graham remained polite, but every gesture, every glance, made Vivian's body react uncontrollably. That night, the desire returned with force. She resisted, as always, but gave in like never before. And then she cried. Crying seemed like the only release from the frustration of being trapped with that man. The next morning, after a long breakfast, Graham appeared smiling. Grab your swimsuit. We're going out. Where to? It's a surprise. She raised an eyebrow. Suspicious. I plan a trip inland. A picnic, he explained, listing the contents with pleasure. Whole grain bread, roast chicken, French cheese, fruit, wine. Vivian couldn't help but smile. I'd love a swim. Don't tell me you brought that tiny bikini. It was borrowed. Mine's much more modest. Graham stepped closer, eyes gleaming. "I'm relieved," he murmured before kissing her. The outing was calm, almost magical. Palmetto Shores was enchanting. They spent the day laughing, walking, sharing stories. When they returned, Clara greeted them with a joyful hug. Over the following days, Vivian poured her heart into winning the girl over. It didn't take much. Clara was sweet, loving, easy to adore. Helen, the grandmother, was discreet but always kind. On Thursday, Graham shared the news. "We're dining out tonight." Vivian went to the boutique to find Margaret. Together, they picked an elegant cream-colored skirt and bolero set. When Graham saw her, he didn't hide his smile. "You look stunning." She thanked him, slightly nervous. "I want to show Clara the dress before we go." "You're getting attached to my daughter?" "Why not? She's wonderful. Unlike her father, of course." "Exactly." They laughed. She went to Clara's room. "You look dazzling." Clara exclaimed, "Daddy, look." Graham nodded. To Vivian's surprise, he put his arm around her and kissed her forehead. The gesture unsettled her. It felt like he was using the image of the loving husband to stage the moment. In the car, Vivian stayed silent. The Porsche glided through the streets and stopped in front of a luxurious restaurant in Palmetto Shores. "Seriously? Here. Afraid?" "Since my father died, I've avoided these kinds of events. Tonight, you're my wife. You'll be treated as such." They entered. All eyes turned to them. Vivian took a deep breath and followed. Then a woman's voice called out, "Graham, darling." She turned. The woman was stunning, wrapped in blue silk and confidence. "Renee," Graham said, "this is my wife, Vivian." Vivian noticed a restrained irritation in Graham's face. He kissed Renee's cheek, as if to seal the introduction. "Married? You?" Renee scoffed. "I thought it was another one of your games." "It's not," he replied, firm. Renee tried to hide her bitterness with a tight smile. Dinner went on. Vivian played her role perfectly, smiling, chatting, enduring every stare. When the music began, she surprised him. "Shall we dance, darling?" Graham raised an eyebrow. On the dance floor, when he held her, her body responded instantly. "Want to leave?" She looked up at him. "What would people think?" "That we're in love." "Renee won't like that." "I do," he murmured and kissed her. "Right there." Vivian tried to resist. In vain. His lips dominated hers. She hated how he made her lose control. "You demon," she whispered. "You provoke. I react. I want to go back to the table." "Not yet." "You love humiliating me, don't you?" "You love resisting." Back at the table, Renee tried to flirt, talking business, suggesting a private dinner. Graham declined. "I'll be with my wife and daughter in Isle of St. Helena." Vivian raised her glass. To Renee and everything that came before her. His smile faded. "That's enough. I'm only on my third glass. The last one." He pulled her to dance again. Later, in the car, she whispered, "Sorry. Make it a better sorry before I lose control." They reached the penthouse. He opened the door coldly. "Out." "Graham, leave on your own or I'll carry you." She trembled. He lifted her, carried her upstairs. "There," she pleaded. "Don't hurt me." "You love pushing me." What followed was an explosion. Like he needed to prove something. Like she needed to forget everything. The intensity broke her. She passed out from exhaustion, but woke to his kisses. Starting again. At dawn, they bathed, dressed, and left, as if nothing had happened. Back in Palmetto Shores, Graham began receiving formal invitations from his business associates. The first event was scheduled for following Saturday, and Vivian learned Renee Lequette would also be attending. She immediately decided she needed a special dress. After 2 afternoons of searching, she found it. At first glance, it seemed modest, but once tried on, it came alive. Black chiffon, cinched at the waist with a full skirt. It hugged her silhouette with elegant grace. The price didn't matter. It was perfect. That Saturday afternoon, she remembered the little party she'd promised to take Clara to at the Mount Pleasant Beach Club. "I forgot to tell Daddy." Don't worry, sweetheart. We'll leave him a message. The family's Mercedes took them, with Clara glowing beside her. The moment they arrived, Vivian could feel the eyes on them. It was obvious she was a subject of silent curiosity. I told you I'd bring my mom, Clara whispered proudly. Vivian smiled, moved. The word mom on Clara's lips felt real. They had fun together. When they left at 5, they were joyfully exhausted. In the back seat, Clara said, "You were the prettiest mom at the party." "That's the best compliment in the world," Vivian replied sincerely. When they returned, Graham greeted them warmly, calling their names. Clara wrapped herself around Vivian as they went up the stairs. In the bedroom, Vivian dabbed on perfume, stepped into her heels, and completed her look with eyeshadow and dark lipstick. Her body glowed in the chiffon. Graham, flawless in a brown jacket and black pants, smiled as he saw her. "You look absolutely stunning." He brought out a small box containing a pair of gold and diamond earrings and reached to place them on her ears. "I can't accept this," she said, stepping back, surprised. "They're yours, Vivian. You're my wife. Accept them." Hesitantly, she finished getting ready. As Graham helped her with the earrings, she caught a reflection in the mirror, an elegant pair, perfectly matching the dress and her graceful beauty. From the car to the event, she stayed close to him. When they arrived, luxury cars lined the entrance. She took a deep breath. "There's someone here who admires you very much," Graham said, helping her out of the car. His eyes were intense, piercing. "Thank you," she said softly, trying to look away. Inside, a red-haired woman made her entrance with effortless glamour, Renee Lequette. She posed gracefully and approached Graham's side. Dinner lasted for hours. Vivian felt the weight of every stare. Renee kept glancing at Graham, subtle but sharp. "I'd love to have lunch with you, Vivian," Renee said with sarcasm. "Took me years to earn that chance." "I managed it without moving an inch," Vivian replied confidently. "Isn't that right, darling?" Graham lifted her hand and kissed it gently, eyes locked on hers. As they settled in, Vivian's clutch slipped from her lap and fell. Before she could reach it, Graham had already picked it up in a swift, gentle motion. "I'll order some wine," he said, still watching her closely. "You're very quiet." Vivian looked around. There was Renee, the staring guests, the tension. "She's sleepy," Graham said as they left. She nodded. In the car, she fell asleep. She woke up in bed to Graham's gentle, seductive gestures. She was exhausted, but alive. The next morning, Vivian woke up late. She stretched slowly, still feeling traces of the previous night on her body. She turned and realized she was alone in bed. When she glanced at the clock, her heart skipped. It was 10 o'clock. She leaned back against the pillows, trying to process everything that had happened. The memory of what she had shared with Graham in that bed felt surreal. How had she allowed such surrender? She was scared by the power he had over her, by how easily she had yielded, as if her body had belonged to him for years. And yet in his arms, Vivian had felt emotions more intense than she ever imagined possible. Was that love, or just a desire so overwhelming it clouded her senses? She had always believed love was about soul connection, trust, and friendship, but what she felt for Graham was something else. A physical need, almost painful, as if her very identity depended on being near him. She hated herself for that. Vivian got up, walked to the bathroom, splashed cold water on her face. She returned to the room with new resolve. She needed to step away, think, escape. She packed a small bag, just the essentials for a few days. She went down the stairs silently, hoping to avoid Beatrice or Calvin. She managed to slip out unnoticed. In the garage sat Graham's Porsche, gleaming under the morning sun. She got in, started the engine, and drove away from the property without looking back. She drove aimlessly across the lowcountry, through marshes, cotton fields, and old colonial homes. All she wanted was distance, time to understand herself. Hours later, far from the salty ocean breeze, Vivian stopped at a modest motel in Walterboro, a quiet town inland. She wanted anonymity, a place where no one, not even Graham, could find her. She checked in, then went out to buy some groceries. She cooked something simple and ate in silence, gathering the strength to do what she knew was coming. She had to call home. She dialed her mother's boutique. "Hi, Mom." "Vivian, are you all right?" "I am. I just need a few days alone. I haven't told Graham." Margaret was shocked. "Are you out of your mind? He'll be frantic." "Mom, please. If he calls, just say I'm safe. Don't tell him where I am." "What's going on, sweetie? Did you two fight?" Vivian hesitated. "I just need time to think. Alone. I needed to tell you, in case he asks." "Vivian, I'll call tomorrow. I promise." And she hung up. The call left Vivian more anxious than before. That evening, feeling a bit steadier after her simple dinner, she picked up the phone again and called home. Calvin answered, but it was Graham who came on the line almost instantly. "Where are you?" His voice was tight with tension. "Graham, I just needed to breathe. Clara's at camp, so I thought it was the right time to take a few days." He exploded. "You left without telling anyone. Do you hear me? Come back now." "No, I need this time. I'm not missing. I'm taking care of myself." "You're joking, right? You're suffocating me, Graham." Silence. Then she hung up. The rest of the night was restless and filled with regret. She couldn't focus on anything, couldn't sleep. She thought about his face, the intensity of the man who made her lose herself. The next morning, still drained, Vivian made a decision. She would go back. She had breakfast, packed her things, and got in the car. She planned to surprise him at his Charleston office, but she never made it. On a narrow road, while trying to pass a pickup truck, everything happened too fast. A crash, a sharp sound, darkness. Hours later, she opened her eyes with difficulty. A white ceiling, distant voices. A nurse smiled. "Good morning, sweetheart." "Where am I?" Vivian murmured. "Charleston General Hospital. You were in an accident, but you're going to be okay." Later, the doctor explained. A broken rib, bruises, and a bump on the head, but nothing serious. She was lucky. "Your husband has been here since you arrived." Vivian's stomach turned. She didn't know what to say. "Do you want me to ask him to come tomorrow?" "No, I want to see him." Graham walked in, his face tired and tense. "Vivian," she tried to smile. "The Porsche, is it okay?" He didn't answer. He just walked to her and kissed her. "You're more important than any car." She began to cry. "I'm sorry." "Sure," he whispered, caressing her face. "Just rest." In the days that followed, Graham never left her side. He brought flowers, hired private doctors, and even gave her a gift, an antique gold locket with a delicate chain. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "Like you," he replied. On Friday, Clara came to visit. "You look better, Vivian." "I'm feeling good, sweetheart. Just missing your big hugs." When Graham announced she'd be going home the next day, Clara jumped with joy. On the morning of her return, Vivian dressed slowly. When Graham arrived to pick her up, she could hardly hide her emotions. During the drive home, they spoke little, but every word meant something. "You were very kind to me. I just did what I had to do. Sometimes I feel so different from you, like I'm not enough. Vivian, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. I left because I was confused, and I just wanted you safe." Silence filled the car, but something had shifted between them, something that grew stronger with each obstacle. When they arrived home, Vivian looked at him and whispered, "Thank you for not giving up on me." Vivian was greeted with contagious warmth by Beatrice and Helen. Between tears and smiles, she settled onto the living room sofa while the conversation flowed easily. Moments later, Beatrice appeared with a tray of pastries and freshly brewed coffee, filling the space with a comforting, familiar aroma. That simple gesture softened, if only for a moment, the lingering tension between her and Graham. After coffee, Graham announced he had to return to the office. He kissed Vivian gently, the affection visible. But there was a restraint in his manner, as if the tenderness was more for Helen and Clara's benefit than his own desire. Vivian waited anxiously for his return. Dinner that evening played out like the portrait of a perfect family. Helen chatted cheerfully, and Clara couldn't stop talking about her time at camp. Only Vivian noticed the subtle distance in her husband's eyes. When it was time to head upstairs, Graham stepped in to help her. "No need," she said firmly. "I can walk on my own now." She kissed Helen goodnight and climbed the stairs. He followed silently. Inside the bedroom, Vivian turned to him. "I'm not a child, Graham." "Did I treat you like one?" he asked calmly. She hesitated, feeling the tension between them like static in the air. "I need a shower," she said, walking away. The hot water helped her unwind, but when she stepped out of the shower, she found Graham leaning against the bathroom door, watching her. She grabbed a towel and wrapped herself without a word. He stepped forward and, with uncharacteristic gentleness, began drying her, careful not to touch the bruises. "It's a miracle you're alive," he whispered. She pulled away, wounded. "Sometimes I wish that miracle hadn't happened." "Don't say that, Vivian. Leave me alone. You're always around. I feel suffocated." Graham held her gaze for a moment, then handed her the towel and left the bathroom. "I'll be in the room if you need anything." She finished getting ready in silence, tears rolling down her face. When she returned, he handed her a glass of water and 2 pills. "It's time for your medication." She took them without a word and lay down. He turned off the light and left, closing the door behind him. Vivian cried herself to sleep. In the following days, life settled into a quiet routine. Breakfast in bed, long baths, conversations with Helen and Clara, and silence with Graham. During dinner, they kept up appearances of harmony. But at night in the bedroom, he remained respectfully distant, as if waiting for something she wasn't ready to give. A week later, at dinner, Helen spoke up. "Why don't you take Vivian out? A little trip might do you both good." "She's right, Daddy." Clara chimed in. "She's better now. She must be tired of being stuck at home." Graham turned to Vivian. "Well, we can go out." Minutes later, they were in the car, driving along the coast toward Isle of St. Helena. "Anywhere in mind?" he asked. "Somewhere quiet. I need peace." He chose a discreet seaside lounge. They ordered champagne. "To your return," he said, raising his glass. Vivian blushed. "You've been kind. Different. Have I changed?" "You just seem more present." "I'm going to New York next week." "A week, maybe more." "Alone. I'd like you to come with me." Vivian hesitated. "If you want me to, I'll go." He smiled, clinking his glass with hers. "Before you hated when I made decisions for you. And now, I don't want to fight anymore." They were about to continue the conversation when a sharp, feminine voice interrupted. "Graham." Vivian recognized it instantly. Renee Lequette, impeccable, provocative, and eyeing Vivian with disdain. "What a coincidence," Renee said, taking a seat uninvited. "You're not offering me a glass?" "We're celebrating the truth coming to light," Graham said firmly. Vivian froze. "Renee," he continued, "I think it's time you apologize to my wife for the lies you've been spreading." Renee paled, trying to maintain composure. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Then I can explain." "Want me to start?" "Graham, this isn't the place." "Maybe not, but you know you cross a line." "You have awful taste, Graham," she snapped, standing. "She's naive, childish, not your equal." Vivian said nothing, just watched. "Come on, Basil," Renee said to her companion. This place lost its charm. Once they were gone, Vivian exhaled. That was intense. "But necessary," Graham replied. "Did you expect her to show up?" "I knew she would. Renee knows my habits." "You were harsh with her, and she was cruel to you. Would you rather I said nothing?" "No, I'm just surprised." Graham smiled and gently touched her face. "Is it time to go home, my dear?" She nodded silently. Back in their room, everything was quiet. Vivian tried to seem calm, but inside, her heart pounded. "You're quiet," he said. "It's been a long day." She turned away from his gaze, but he gently held her arm. "I owe you an apology," she began. "I love you." The words escaped like a whisper, a point of no return. Graham smiled and kissed her forehead. "You're apologizing for loving me? For doubting you?" Renee was good at planting doubts. "But I won't let her come between us again." Vivian hugged him. "I thought you didn't care anymore. If you knew how many cold showers I've taken these past days." She laughed through tears. "Maybe now you won't need cold showers anymore." "Is that an invitation?" "It's a promise." He took her into his arms with reverence. He kissed her as if for the first time, every touch a promise of permanence. "You are my life, Vivian," he whispered. "I married you because I love you, and I'll never let you doubt that again. And I'll never run away again," she whispered back. That night, there were no doubts, no distance, only two bodies finally finding peace in each other's arms. Vivian was at last home,